It is awesome that the questions keep on coming in on this. Here we are, another Q&A. Let's get the questions going.
You want answers!
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Hey there, hi there, ho there, Andrew here, and we are on the 7th installment of the Scare Actor Q&As, and I have to say to everybody that's been asking questions, you guys rock. And if you haven't seen any of the previous Q&As, go ahead, click the link above, and if you have a question that you haven't seen in any of the previous Q&As, go ahead, put it down in the comment box below. I'll add it to a future video. And the first question goes to Dom97, who asks, what do you do for the rest of the year? Well, I'm constantly working on different creative projects. I'm trying to get up off the ground as we speak, but I also have a real job, which is security for a high-end country club.
Ahoy, Ploy.
And of course, I am trying to work more on this channel, so if you enjoy the videos that I am doing, go ahead, tap that like button and share with all your friends. You won't believe how much that actually helps. And the next question goes to Allison Jones, who writes, I went into The Exorcist with just my uncle and I, because we just got out of Stay and Scream and nobody was in line, and it's a completely different house. Have you ever had a run-through with just a family or a couple by themselves? Well, actually, I'm going to say yes 2 times because yes, it has happened to me as a character, and yes, it's happened to me as a guest. So I can completely agree with you that it is a unique experience altogether when you don't have a conga line of people in front of you and behind you. And I think that's why you're starting to see more haunting attractions have a paid option of being in a house with a smaller group or being in it completely by yourself. And as a character and seeing that, yes, it can be a lot more fun because you're actually making that experience very personal for that guest, and things get a lot more terrifying. Farhan Ahmad has 2 questions, and the first one is, how do you feel on scaring kids? The second one, what is your opinion on kids going to Halloween Horror Nights? Well, some characters have no limits on who they scare. If there's a kid there, they're fair game just like anybody else. I judge that on a case-by-case basis, really. If I see there's a kid that's completely traumatized, I give them a pass. And the same thing would go as an adult. However, if the kid looks like they're enjoying themselves, they're giving the whole metal horns thing going on, they're fair game like anybody else. Though some kids feel a little emboldened because they hear that we can't touch them. So I punch them in the face. No, I don't do that. Anyways, my opinion on kids going to Halloween Horror Nights, really, it's all on the parents there. I have seen some children come into the event, and when I say children, I actually mean infants. Like, the parents are holding the child, and I think that's kind of dangerous. And I'm not saying because of the loudness and they have sensitive ears. I mean, if the parents freak out and they flare their arms, where's the kid going to go? I mean, it's not like we have child swaps there. Actually, that would be really weird. I mean, could you imagine giving your child to a zombie and saying, I'll be right back, honey? Trey Stafford inquires, how hot and sweaty do you get under that Leatherface mask? Well, I have to be honest with you, Trey. When you're wearing somebody else's face on top of yours, it can get kind of hot. And that sounds a little weird when I say it that way, but it's true. When you're wearing a mask and you don't have any nostrils in it, like mine didn't have any nostrils in it, it was just a one piece, there was a pool of sweat that went right up on the tip of my nose, and I got a couple of pimples doing that. It was a little bit of annoying. So I had to actually pinch the nose every now and then to squirt the sweat out from the tip of the nose. Because if I didn't, and I looked up or shook my head a little bit sideways, the sweat would go up into my nostrils. And it was almost like snorting your own sweat, which is a weird experience. Nolaine Marie asks, do you recognize frequent fear guests and do you target them more? I've done the house a good 14-15 times and I keep running out shaking. Scariest house at the event this year to me. Well, first off, I would like to say thank you very much for saying the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the scariest house of the event. I know I appreciate it. I'm sure everybody else that was involved appreciates it as well. I will say that as far as frequent fear guests go, typically a character only gets a couple of seconds to recognize somebody before they come out and scare them if they're inside a house. If you're in a scare zone, you got a better chance of seeing them for a longer amount of time. You do recognize people, even though it's only been a couple of seconds. It's a lot of fun to scare frequent fear guests because you get a chance to mix up your scare a little bit. You can't keep on scaring somebody over and over and over the same way. I mean, unless they're a scaredy cat, which is always fun also. but you get to work on your craft a little bit more. And I've met a lot of really cool people that are frequent fear guests. Some of them are like Kyle and family from View from the Cheap Seats, also Zombie Chris, Josh Solomon, Dr. Jimmy, Tim Tracker, and Sir Owen Disney, just to name a few. All of them are really great. You got to check out their channels, and I will go ahead and put a link into the description box below. Chris Rogers wants to know, what was the craziest experience you ever had as a Halloween Horror Night scare actor? Wow, I've had a lot of crazy experiences as a scare actor in Halloween Horror Nights. There is one that leaves me at a loss for words. I think still leaves me at a loss for words. Thankfully, I actually have a fellow scare actor by the name of Andy. He actually witnessed this, so he can back it up. The experience comes from Run, Blood, Sweat, and Fears, and there was this middle-aged biker and his biker wife who was probably in her early 30s, and they were coming through the Blitzkrieg room, and I think she really dug all the Germans screaming and all the leather. I mean, different strokes for different folks.
What you talking about, Mr. D?
She was a rather well-endowed woman, and when I was making eye contact with her and screaming at her in German, she reached into her shirt sideways. She wasn't wearing a bra, and to probably describe this the most PG way I guess I can say, it would be like if somebody was trying to reach somebody across the ocean through an old-time transmitter and was, you know. Sean Konsky inquires, is it enjoyable to scare people? Yes. Completely. Totally. In every way. Bug writes, wow, that is a lot of nights to work. How many hours do you actually spend in the houses per night? How often are cast changes? I bet you get exhausted. Well, it is a lot of nights to work if you're working the entire event, and it seems like every year they're adding another day or so on there. Each of the actors spend about 45 minutes on set and 45 minutes off set. And when I say on set, I mean in your scare area, whether that is a scare zone or if that is in a house. There's typically a cast A and a cast B, and they alternate back and forth every 45 minutes on that. So if you're working 40 hours a week, you're really on set for 20 hours of the week, but you are going full blast that entire time. Think of it as like going to the gym for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. It can be pretty tiring. And the last question of the video goes to George Reason, who writes, what happens when you guys are in between sets? Well, you have an assistant stage manager and a coordinator who usually go back and forth leading the cast from the set to the break area and from the break area to the set back and forth. You can't really have a cast going back and forth on their own without some type of help. It would be mass chaos. So the stage manager themselves goes ahead and coordinates with all the techs and the different ops out there to make sure that the house is running. You also have techs that walk inside the house and on the back of the set as well, just to make sure that things are running, and if not, they go ahead and they notify the management as well. And also in between the sets, you have the characters going to visit the different makeup tents that are out there. Very rarely do they need to have more blood put on them, because the blood that Halloween Horror Nights uses now does not come off via sweating. It stays on there. So the blood tends to be pretty solid throughout the entire run. You also have masks and props where they will go ahead and adjust the mask or fix something that if there's a tear or anything like that. And if there's any issues with your wardrobe in between sets, they will go ahead and see if they can take care of that also. Long and short, there are hundreds and hundreds of people that are helping out all the characters to make sure that you get the maximum scare. I am constantly amazed how things get done during the event. And if you like this video, make sure you tap the like button and share with all your friends in all forms of social media. Make sure you get the word out about how awesome Halloween Horror Nights is and how much fun it is to be a scare actor. And don't forget to subscribe so you get notified the moment I upload, and I will see you in the next video.